Joining us now is Alex Wolff, someone that I have admired his work for a very long time, and he's with us here in the studio. So exciting to have him here with us today. Hi.
Hi, Donna. It is great to be here.
I have been a fan of yours for such a long time. I've seen you at many different charity events that we've gone to, but then I started really having an appreciation for your art, for your photography, Alex. It's extraordinary, right? It's
Thank
not
you.
that you just do great headshots, you do great headshots, but you do so much more with your tools of the trade.
Mm.
How did photography start for you? How did you realize that you were going to be able to capture the essence of things?
So I didn't originally, I got my first camera in 1965 when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So I enjoyed capturing just moments and saying, oh, look, everybody missed this. So even, if you jump from 1965 to 1982 when I was working on Wall Street and doing photography on the side, I had my first art show. It was called Moments, and it was all about splashes of oil on the street, water beating on cars, just abstract things that people walk past and don't really notice, but are beautiful when you see them frozen in time.
Yeah, the beauty of the randomness,
Hmm?
right? And you're able to capture that. Now, speaking of the beauty of the randomness, you have worked and curated something so wonderful. Let's talk about that famed artist and how
Yeah.
you were able to have these moments now.
Oh, one of the things that I do is I always walk around with a camera. I'm always looking at the floor, the ceiling, everything. I was at Jackson Pollock's house. For those of you who don't know, because not everybody does know, he was made famous for his action painting, which we usually refer to as drip painting.
Okay.
And that's where he put his canvas on the floor and threw paint with turkey basters, paint brushes, cups, all kinds of things, very deliberately, very precisely. However, he would sometimes miss the canvas. And he was doing this work in his house in Spring, Long Island, which is right next to East Hampton. And his house is still there. He passed in 1956. Stony Brook Foundation had bought the house to preserve it. And there was a covering on the floor until the late 80s, and they removed the covering. And all that mess, all his garbage, was still left on the floor. So when I went on my tour, which was on my wife's birthday, it was just a treat for us. We like art. And I looked at the floor. Instead of listening to the
The tour guide,
docent,
right?
I just started snapping away. And the pictures were absolutely terrible.
Okay.
I was testing a new camera, wasn't really thinking about doing anything with the images. It was just like, oh, there's some splashes. And I did, my photos. And then I had just started working in Photoshop, so I said, let me see what I could do. And that became 25 images. They're available at different sizes. And I had to get a license from Stony Brook Foundation, not because of the copyright, but because every time I told the story, I took these at Jackson Pollock Studio. They had the trademark for Jackson Pollock Studio. So I couldn't do anything with the images until I had a
Okay.
licensing agreement with them for using Jackson Pollock Studio as their registered trademark.
Interesting. So when they saw what you were up to and that it was in celebration of that artist, then you were able to negotiate something and work with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
what we did was we traded $125,000. The 25 images, a complete set of 11 by 22s, the number 5 in the series of each one of the individual images as payment for the licensing agreement.
Fantastic. So now, fast forward, right? How are people able to get product from you that celebrates that?
Um, there are a couple of places where they can see it, a couple
Okay.
of galleries, but they could also get to me directly. As Alex Wolff Fine Art is my website. And of course, they can always call me at 516-375-4315.
Okay.
And
Wait, that's funny. Only because the show's global. So that's like the song 8675309.
well,
Okay.
that's right.
So, but you know what? We usually don't give out numbers. We're going to do it, but say it really slow. It's 516.
516 +1
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
internationally, 516-375-4315.
Lovely.
And interestingly, this shirt
Yes.
is actually made from one of the images that was part of the collection, the 25. So it's
Wearable art.
it's
You have
wear-
wearable art.
it is wearable art.
Wearable art. One of the other cool things that you do is that you scuba dive.
Mhm.
So I want to know about that too. And you've climbed like the most craziest like mountains and all different terrain. I think you go everywhere, Alex, for the right image.
Well, yeah, but
Okay.
I'm not really into mountains.
Right.
As I get on in life, I don't want to be that far away from a bathroom.
Okay.
But I scuba dive all over the world. I've been in 37 countries. I do underwater photography and video. I do sharks, whales, almost microscopic creatures called nudibranchs. Um, Bali. I was in uh, as a kid. There was a show called Johnny Quest, and the
Yes.
opening had a
Love
Komodo
Johnny
dragon.
Quest.
And so I
Yes.
always wanted to see one. So I spent 6 weeks in Australia and Bali, and went to Komodo to photograph the dragons. Really, really
Wonderful.
cool stuff.
So you have quite a variety of,
Mm,
like many different things,
mhm,
many different genres, but all with your eye and all with the click of your
mm.
finger, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about like the portraits also that you do, portrait
Mm.
photography and headshots.
Sure. So I consider myself both a commercial and fine art photographer.
Okay.
The fine art is the stuff I do to please myself and hopefully people like it and buy it. The commercial photography is when I have to do stuff that other people like. That includes portraits, headshots, family portraits, product photography. I do all that. I do drone work, underwater stuff, although the fish never actually buy a portrait.
They don't?
They
No.
don't.
Okay.
But they do hang up in restaurants like Sushi Vogue, which is close by to here, has 20 of my images, and a few other places, restaurants and stores have my art on the walls. Um, I lost where we started there.
Oh, that's okay. So we were talking about like headshots. So
Oh,
so
yes,
so you're doing these headshots, but you're also doing commercial as well as fine art.
right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So sometimes restaurants will curate, if you will,
Hmm.
right? So it's almost like they have the Alex Wolff Gallery
Absolutely.
creating imagery and things. So you're supporting local businesses by
Well,
helping them be more beautiful.
exactly. We're taking, like Sushi Vogue had some nondescript stuff that didn't even show up when you walked in, and put 20 images on the walls, and they have art nights and people come in to see the work. And so it's a trade-off between helping the restaurant beautify, because everyone likes to eat in a beautiful place.
Absolutely.
And
Ambiance and atmosphere,
and when I
right?
put my images in my basement as they're waiting to show, nobody sees them, and that way nothing sells. So I like to have it out there,
Lovely.
that work is a combination. This collection is called Jackson Pollock um, Studio Forgotten Splatter.
Okay.
Forgotten Splatter is the history of my drips and drabs, and the other stuff is called Here, There, Everywhere, because it represents my work as a photographer for Sagamore Yacht Club. So we have yacht racing, um, animals all over the world, fish all over the world, and scenics and stuff like that.
If there's one photograph to you that is your favorite baby, what is that an image of?
Oh, unfortunately, it was the picture that my friend took of my daughter and me at her sweet 16. But aside from that, I did a photograph of an ocean sunfish in Bali that I thought was so amazing. And then, um, believe it or not, a year later, I saw an almost identical photo won the underwater photograph of the year. Um, Really, almost no different. Same positioning, same everything, same place, Lamba Strait, that it was done. And I'm like, yeah, I did a great job, you know. So the picture I did in Oyster Bay of the sailboat races is probably my most popular.
Okay.
It's called Happy Fleet, and it won the image of the year for the illustration of the year for Professional Photographers of America for New York and the town of Oyster Bay. Um, Environmental People's Choice Award.
Oh,
So kind of
congratulations.
tough. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was good, and it was actually represented my first time in Photoshop, because I was a slide photographer and a film photographer, so pretty much what you photographed is what you wound up with. But when I had two actual photos that I had to combine together. They were lousy photos each individually.
Right.
Together, they're gold.
So a new tool for you as an artist to be able to express yourself.
Yes, and my daughter would call my "Who's the Man" photo.
Okay.
So it was a complete different way of looking at things, instead of the capture mindset, which is what we all had in film, to a create mindset. And every time I photograph something, it doesn't matter if it's a person for a headshot splatter on the street, a cup for Donna Drake. I'm not thinking about taking the photo because that's become really second nature. I'm thinking about what can I do with this to make it special for whoever it's for.
I thank you. I know you've taken pictures of me before, and I always feel so comfortable with you because you take the subject that you're working with, and you have this like great dialogue. It's like tip your head this way, do this, do
Yeah.
that, do that. But you're so easy to work with. So
But it's also about getting people to be where they need to be for what their objective is. A lot of photographers think that the headshot is a technical exercise. If I put my lighting right and I do this right, I'm going to get a good headshot. You might get a good picture of somebody, but if you don't capture some of their essence, and if you don't capture it for their intended purpose, you've actually kind of failed in the headshot. So,
Okay.
so my goal is to make sure that when I'm working with someone, if I don't have the right photo for them, we're going to keep working until we do. Like I did a surgeon who came to my home studio. We did it in eye surgeon. We did it in 3 shots. He was comfortable. His wife says it's the best photo he's ever had. Wonderful. And I've had people that I've had to work with, for 100 or 150 shots to get exactly what was right for them. And it's different for actors and business people and cosplayers. Everybody has their own need. And I try to make sure that instead of using my style, I work to the style that they need for what they're doing.
love that. Like the person is the clay.
Yes.
You're amazing. Thank you very much, Alex
You're
Wolff.
welcome.
Happy journeys to you.
Thank you.
And if you're a fan of art, like I'm a fan of art, please go to his website to see a lot of his images, and maybe you'll bring one home for yourself. Be well.